Good morning students, welcome to the class. I am Rajni, your science teacher in DAV Police Public School, Kathal. We are on the sexual reproduction of plant. For the sexual reproduction, there are the male reproductive part that is called the stamen and the female reproductive part that is called the carpel. We have studied the plant having the both male and female reproductive part is called bisexual flower. And the plant having either male or female reproductive part that is called unisexual flower. We have studied in detail about the carpel and stamen, that the stamen having the anther and filament. Inside the anther there are present the pollen grain, and the carpel having the stigma, silent ovary, and inside the ovary ovule is present. So these ovules are the female gametes or the female reproductive part of the plant. So these are the female and the male gamete, they involved in the sexual reproduction in plant. As you are seeing here, inside the pollen grain there are present the male reproductive part called the male gamete, and inside the ovule you see the female gametes are present. So they are the main reproductive parts of the plant. The male reproductive part is the pollen grain and the female reproductive part is the ovule, and inside the pollen grain there is present the male gametes and inside the ovule there is present the female gamete. So these male gamete and the female gamete, they are the main parts of the sexual reproduction. But for this, the one more important process, that is pollination, the transfer of pollen grain from male to the female flower. If it is take place in the same flower, that is called the self-pollination. If it take place in the different flower, the different plant, that is called cross-pollination. We have studied the agents of the pollination. Now we come to the process of fertilization. The process of fertilization is the fusion of the male and female gamete. The fusion of the male and female gamete take place after pollination. When the pollination occur and the pollen grain, they come on the stigma of the flower, they comes to the stigma of the flower, they form the pollen tube. They form the pollen tube. As you are seeing here, the pollen tube is formed. They form the pollen tube, and through the pollen tube the pollen grains or the male gamete, they enter inside the ovule. Through the pollen tube, the pollen grains or the male gamete, they enter inside the ovule. And when this male gamete and the female gamete inside the ovule, they fuses with each other, and the process is known as fertilization. Fertilization is the process of the fusion of the male and female reproductive part of the plant or the male and female gametes of the plant. The process is called fertilization. And with this process the zygote is formed, and the zygote is divided to form the embryo. Embryo is the baby plant. The embryo is formed inside the ovule, and the ovule is changed into seed. The ovules are changed into seed, and the ovary form the fruit. So in this way, the fruit having the seeds, the seed is formed with the ovule by the fusion of the male and female gamete. The seed is formed and the ovary is changed into fruit, and the other parts of the plant, they perished or fall down. The sepal and petals, they are fall down, and the fruits are formed with the ovary.